Imagine standing beneath a tower so tall that your neck starts to hurt. You look up, the structure keeps going. There is no obvious reason it needs to be that high. Humans could have built outward. They chose upward, and we have been doing it for thousands of years. The strange part is that towers solve very few basic survival problems. You do not need a tower to eat. You do not need one to sleep. You do not need one to make fire. Ancient humans repeatedly built them. Some were watchtowers, some were temples, some were tombs, some were monuments, and some seem designed mainly to be seen. So why did humans become obsessed with height? The answer begins with something very simple: seeing farther. On flat ground, your view is limited by the horizon. A taller position changes that. Even a few meters can reveal approaching animals, can reveal strangers, it can reveal smoke, it can reveal roads, it can reveal water. Height creates information, and information can keep you alive. Archaeologist Lawrence Keeley has studied the evidence for prehistoric warfare. His research shows that organized violence has much deeper roots than many people once assumed. When communities compete, seeing danger early becomes valuable. A raised platform becomes an advantage. A tower becomes an even better one. But there was another reason to climb: religion. Ancient humans often imagined the sky as a special place. The sun lived there. The moon lived there. Storms came from there. The stars appeared there. So perhaps the highest places felt closer to the supernatural, and humans started building upward toward them. Think about ancient Mesopotamia. Thousands of years ago, cities rose from the flat landscape between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. There were few natural mountains. The horizon was enormous. So humans created artificial mountains. They were called ziggurats. The Great Ziggurat of Ur was built around 2100 BC under King Yornamu. Its massive terraces rose above the surrounding city. It was not simply a tall building. It was a statement. The city had power, the king had power, the gods had power, and everyone could see it. That is the secret hiding inside many ancient towers. They were communication devices. They communicated without words. A tower said, "Someone built this." Someone organized the workers. Someone gathered the materials. Someone had enough food to feed the builders. Someone had enough authority to make thousands of people cooperate. And perhaps most importantly, someone wanted everyone to notice. Why would height become such a powerful political message? Because building upward is expensive. Stone has to be quarried. Wood has to be transported. Workers have to be fed. Foundations have to support enormous weight. Every extra meter creates another engineering problem. So when people saw a giant tower, they were also seeing stored resources. The tower was physical evidence of organized power. The Great Pyramid of Giza makes this especially clear. Built around 2560 BC for Pharaoh Khufu, it originally reached about 146.6 meters. For thousands of years, it was the tallest human-made structure on Earth. Think about that. Generation after generation could look at the same object and know that their ancestors had built something enormous. The pyramid was a tomb. But it was also a monument to centralized authority. It turned political power into stone. And humans kept repeating the pattern. In ancient Rome, towers appeared as defensive structures. Medieval Europe filled its castles with towers. They gave defenders height. They provided observation points. They made attacks harder. They also made castles look intimidating. A tower could tell an enemy something before the battle even began. We are watching you. We are prepared. We are stronger than you think. Height had become psychological warfare. But towers were not only about enemies. They also helped people navigate. A tall structure can become a landmark. Imagine traveling across unfamiliar countryside thousands of years ago. There are no highways. There are no signs. There is no GPS. Then you see a tower. You know where you are. The tower becomes a fixed point in a moving world. Lighthouses used this principle near the sea. Religious towers used it in cities. Minarets, church towers, pagodas, and other tall structures became visible markers across landscapes. Their height made them useful even before anyone reached them. And then something changed. Humans began putting different technologies inside towers. Water could be stored high above the ground. Grain could be lifted. Signals could be sent. Bells could be heard across cities. Fire could be watched from above. The tower became a machine. But the biggest transformation came much later. Steel. In the 19th century, engineers discovered that iron and steel could carry enormous loads. This changed the mathematics of height. Traditional buildings had thick walls because their walls had to hold them up. But steel frames could carry the weight. The walls could become lighter. Buildings could rise higher. Then came elevators. In 1854, Elisha Otis demonstrated a safety device that made elevators far more trustworthy. That invention changed everything. Before elevators, higher floors were a punishment. After elevators, higher floors became valuable. Suddenly, the sky itself became real estate. The first skyscrapers appeared in American cities. Chicago became one of the great laboratories. The home insurance building, completed in 1885, is often described as the first modern skyscraper. It reached only about 42 meters. By today's standards, that is tiny. But psychologically, it was enormous. Humans had entered a new vertical world. And then the race accelerated. Buildings became taller. Cities became denser. Land became more expensive. Height became profitable. The tower had evolved again. It was no longer only a lookout. It was no longer only a temple. It was no longer only a fortress. It became a machine for concentrating human life. But there is something deeper here. Humans do not simply build what they need. We build what we want others to see. That is why towers appear across cultures that never met each other. The desire is remarkably consistent. Build something visible. Build something difficult. Build something that outlasts you. Perhaps that is why monuments are so often vertical. A horizontal building blends into the landscape. A tower interrupts it. It announces itself. It changes the skyline. And it changes how people remember a place. The Eiffel Tower is a perfect example. When Gustave Eiffel's tower opened in Paris in 1889, it was 300 meters tall. Many people hated it. Artists and intellectuals criticized its appearance. Yet the structure became one of the most recognizable landmarks on Earth. The tower proved something important. A structure does not have to be useful in the ordinary sense to become culturally useful. Sometimes its purpose is to become unforgettable. And perhaps that is the real reason humans keep building upward. We are temporary creatures. Our bodies disappear. Our voices disappear. Even our memories eventually disappear. A tower can remain. Stone can survive thousands of years. Steel can survive generations. Concrete can survive longer than the people who poured it. So a tower becomes a strange form of communication with the future. It says, we were here. We had enough skill to build this. We had enough ambition to attempt it. We wanted someone, someday, to look up. And that changes how we should understand the skyline around us. Every tower is solving a practical problem. Maybe it provides housing. Maybe it carries water. Maybe it transmits signals. Maybe it protects a city. But almost every tower is also doing something psychological. It is changing the scale of human possibility. A tower makes the individual look small. That feeling is not accidental. Ancient rulers understood it. Religious builders understood it. Modern corporations understand it. The tallest building becomes a symbol of whoever controls it. And the competition never really stopped. The Chrysler Building. The Empire State Building. The World Trade Center. Taipei 101. Burj Khalifa. Each pushed the same ancient idea a little higher. How high can we go? There is something almost absurd about that question. Once humans reached a certain height, going higher stopped being necessary. Yet we kept doing it. Because towers are not really about height. They are about possibility. They turn engineering into spectacle. They turn wealth into architecture. They turn belief into stone. They turn fear into defense. They turn empty air into valuable space. And they turn human ambition into something you can see from miles away. So the next time you stand beneath a skyscraper, do not just look at the windows. Look at the idea behind it. Thousands of years ago, another human stood beneath another tower. They looked upward for many of the same reasons. To see farther. To feel safer. To impress others. To reach the heavens. To leave something behind. The materials changed. The technology changed. The civilizations disappeared. But the impulse survived. We keep building towers because humans have always wanted to make the invisible visible. Power. Faith. Security. Ambition. Memory. All of it can be turned into height. And perhaps the strangest thing about towers is this. We build them because we know we will eventually disappear. The tower is our attempt to remain standing after we are gone.